Be persistent. December 15, 2013. Have you ever tried to figure out, dear ones, what it is that blocks or hinders your connection with the spiritual realm? Many cultures take this question quite seriously as being central to the beginning of the understanding of themselves, and it is most commonly called the ego. The ego condones its person to feel that the world revolves around them and the all is mine, becomes ingrained into their attitude. Understand, dear ones, the ego, when left to control your thought processes, can cut you off from other dear souls, from the sacredness of nature, from God, and of course from your authentic self, and it moves you away from taking responsibility and from fulfilling the divine mission that each of you have. The ego is what causes many dear souls, still in this modern era, to feel they can seize something, anything, even if they have no right. When the ego is in control, it cleverly convinces you that you are separate from all things, including God. The ego, dear ones, will put you in the center of the universe. However, you will continue thinking you are separate, and time becomes your prisoner, where you dwell on past situations, conditionings, old grudges, any identities you have created, your personality, and even your hopes, dreams. Any fears or anxieties can be pressured and hindered by the ego's persistent flow of mental and emotional constructions, where each will tell you, "This is me." The ego began to grow when you were a child, and it became a treacherous assumption that what you played and what you were called through flattery or even through insult was who you are. Understand, dear ones, the ego is well known for making false claims. Whenever possible, the ego will rise and take hold at the central core of your being, and it will adopt a convincing persona, a pretended version of your true self. When the ego is part of the decision-making, it will encourage you to do opposite of what your heart tells you. And if you follow the course of the ego, you will not be able to aspire to follow your dreams, no matter how big or small they may be. Why does your ego produce so much difficulty along your spiritual journey and have you thinking you are separate from all that is? The answer, dear ones, is found in the subtle place where ego and I resides. It is a place that is not visible by any form of vision, and it rests within the area of your will. It is more inside of you than all your thoughts and emotions. The ego and I lives in the place of who you are, in the place that makes decisions, or where you give up making a choice. When you have a thought that begins with, "I will," oftentimes you don't realize it is a trick of the ego. When you make a decision, dear ones, it will come from the true source of your will, from your heart, and any decision that is fostered by the love and true intention of the heart will usurp what the ego had in mind. The more you move through your heart, within every decision you are about to make, the more connected you are with your authentic self and with the source of your light and love energy, and that source, dear ones, is God. There are many cultures around this fine globe that proclaim the ego as being the enemy, the main hindrance that prevents you from becoming all that you are through your authentic self. And there are many more that believe the ego taints your inner self unless you can remove it through purification. We have seen many dear souls made to believe they were not good enough, given false hopes that were made to allow their ego to create a self-condescending attitude. And this attitude, if left in control, can lead you into an endless cycle of going nowhere and feeling separate and alone. With the thought of the ego being the enemy, many dear souls go to war with themselves, trying to prove their ego wrong and to prove to others of how good they are. But in truth, dear ones, your ego will join in and have you feeling you are going to win against the trickster ego, and give you the feeling of how wonderful it will feel when you do so. It will have you thinking and feeling that you will be better, you will be even more wonderful than you already are, or more wonderful than other dear souls. Understand, dear ones, becoming less controlled by your ego cannot be done by supplementing your outer self, it must be reduced from within. If you choose to battle your own ego, it will be happy to join in, and many times it does. It will not take sides, and it will wear you down and provide deeper forms of suffering as a result. There are a few dear souls who have been able to pull themselves out of the darkness and illusion that the ego creates, and they do this as they begin to believe in themselves and in the light and love of God more often, but it does take time and disciplined effort. For the most part, dear ones, your ego is developed from what you gather in society, from the people you associate with, which when you were children you were easily impressed by, and as adults you are still being impressed by others whom you easily become enamored by. It is wonderful to see qualities within another dear soul that you admire, but it is equally important to see that you, yourself, have wonderful qualities. If you go looking for your ego, for this part of you that creates a feeling of separateness within you, you will not find it, but what you will discover, dear ones, is a light to your awareness that will illuminate the truth that the ego has cleverly covered up, and that truth, dear ones, is that you are not separate, that you are equal, and that you are connected to God and all that is. Here are some great questions for you to ponder on. Are you your body? Are you your feelings? And are you your thoughts, or knowledge or experience? Of course you are aware of your body, and your awareness is meant to be greater than your physical body. Yes, you can become aware of your feelings and become influenced by them, but this does not make you, your feelings. Your thoughts tell you, I think, scenarios. But if you look closely, dear ones, a thought at best is vague and doesn't always provide insight, but your thoughts will provide the notion that you are a combination of thoughts, feeling and body. As you question if you are your knowledge and experience, by which habits and certain desires are formed, you begin to get closer to the truth of the entire complex of yourself. You begin to learn you are not just your personality, you are not just your experience or the knowledge you have gleaned from books, you are not just your feelings, thoughts or your body. You do have some control over who you are through what you are aware of. When you go deeper into your awareness, dear ones, the more your awareness expands and becomes less centered, and your rising awareness will show you, dear ones, that you are indeed not a separate entity and that your ego has been fooling you for a very long time. Every time you focus on a question pertaining to yourself, and you go deeper within your awareness of this point in question, you open yourself to greater learning and appreciation that is beyond what the clever ego will show or offer you. You will not find a separate self during any time you venture within in order to explore and to enhance your inner self. The more you purposely engage in spiritual inner work, the more careful and persistent you are able to truly see your authentic self, and the more your once controlling ego will dissolve and shrink, and soon you will be left thinking it never existed anyway. What remains, dear ones, is the understanding of how connected you are to nature, to other dear souls, to God and to all life, and you find comfort knowing that you are not separate or limited, instead you are connected and unlimited. There will be times, dear ones, when you will stumble back into the grips of the ego through certain thoughts and feelings, but you will have a deeper knowing and awareness of what is right and let the heavy and negative thinking, thought or feeling go with greater ease. Be persistent, dear one, with the spiritual work you do from within. To be completely free of your ego, where it has absolutely no control over any part of your decision-making, thoughts, feelings or anything else, will indicate that you are very highly, spiritually developed, and this development came from hard work and diligence to persevere. Seeing what is happening around you and by letting go of the need to react, even by thought, dear ones, will help deliver you from the controlling clutches of your ego and back to sensing the energy body and working with the presence of God, and when asked, dear ones, He will help you see the truth in all things, including yourself. Remember, dear ones, seeing will lead you onto a path of great liberation, and through the liberation from the illusion the ego had on you, you discover the divine and sacred freedom found through the interconnectedness of God, the universe, from all nature and with all things. I am Melchizedek through Julie Miller. SpiritualNetworks.com